Hello, this is lesson 1.1, Structure of a Program. A computer program is a sequence of instructions that tells the computer what to do. The most common type of instruction in a program is the statement. A C++ statement is the smallest independent unit in the language. In human language, it is analogous to a sentence. We write sentences in order to convey an idea. In C++, we write statements in order to convey to the compiler that we want to perform a task. Statements in C++ are terminated by a semicolon. I will repeat this. Statements in C++ are always terminated by a semicolon. There are many different kinds of statements in C++. The following are some of the most common types of simple statements. Int x. X equals 5, cout x. Don't worry about the error. Int x is a declaration statement. It tells the compiler that x is a variable. All variables in a program must be declared before they are used. We will talk more about variables shortly. X equals 5 is an assignment statement. It assigns a value, 5 in this case, to a variable x. Cout x is an output statement. It outputs the value of x, which we set to 5 in the previous statement, to the screen. The compiler is also capable of resolving expressions. An expression is a mathematical entity that evaluates to a value. For example, in math, the expression 2 plus 3 evaluates to the value 5. Expressions can involve values, such as 2, variables, such as x, operators such as plus, and functions which return an output value based on some input value. They can be singular, such as 2 or x, or compound, such as 2 plus 3, 2 plus x, x plus y, or 2 plus x times y minus 3. For example, the statement x equals 2 plus 3 is a valid assignment statement. The expression 2 plus 3 evaluates to the value of 5. This value of 5 is then assigned to x. In C++, statements are typically grouped into units called functions. A function is a collection of statements that executes sequentially. Every C++ program must contain a special function called main. When the C++ program is run, execution starts with the first statement inside of main. Functions are typically written to do a very specific job. For example, a function named max might contain statements that figures out which of two numbers is larger. A function named calculate grade might calculate a student's grade. We'll talk more about functions later. Libraries are groups of functions that have been packaged up for use in many different programs. The core of C++ language is actually very small and minimalistic. However, C++ comes with a bunch of libraries known as the C++ standard libraries that provide programmers with lots of extra functionality. For example, the IOStream library contains functions for doing input and output. During the link stage of the compilation process, the libraries from the C++ standard library are the runtime support libraries that are linked into the program. This will be discussed further in lesson 1.4. Now that you have a brief understanding of what statements, functions, and libraries are, let's take a look at a simple Hello World program that we wrote in the previous lesson. So let's write it again. Include IOStream int main using namespace std cout hello world. And then return 0. Okay. Excuse me, I typed in IOStream. My bad. So, line 1 is a special type of statement called a preprocessor directive. Preprocessor directives tell the compiler to perform a special task. In this case, we are telling the compiler that we would like to use the IOStream library. The IOStream library contains code that tells the compiler what cout and endl, which means endline, do. In other words, we need to include the IOStream libraries in order to write to the screen. Line 3, over here, declares the main function, which, as you learned above, is mandatory. Every program must have a main function. Now, line 3 and line 7 tell the compiler which lines are part of the main function. Everything between the opening curly brace on line 3 and the closing curly brace on line 7 is considered part of the main function. Line 4, is our first statement. You can tell it's a statement because it ends with a semicolon. As you learned in the explanation for line 1, cout and endline live inside the IOStream library. However, within IOStream, they live inside a special compartment named std, short for standard. This using statement tells the compiler to look inside a compartment named std if it can't find cout or endline defined anywhere else. In other words, this statement is also necessary so the compiler can find cout and endline, which we use right over here. So, line 5 is our output statement. Cout is a special object that represents the console or screen. This symbol over here is an operator, much like the plus is an operator, and it's called the output operator. Cout understands that anything sent to it via the output operator should be printed on the screen. Endline is a special symbol that moves the cursor to the next line. Line 6 is a new type of statement called a return statement. Now, when an executable program finishes running, it sends a value to the operating system that indicates whether it was run successfully or not. The return value of main is used for this purpose. This particular return statement returns the value of 0 to the operating system, which means everything went okay. Non-zero numbers are typically used to indicate that something went wrong and the program had to abort. We will discuss return statement in more detail when we discuss functions. So, all of the programs we write will follow this template or a variation on it. We will discuss each of the lines above in more detail in the upcoming lessons. So, as promised, we have a quiz. The following quiz is meant to reinforce your understanding of the material presented above. So, I will ask a question, you can pause the video and try to answer, then play again to see the solution. The first question is, what is the difference between a statement and an expression? Okay, so a statement is a complete sentence that tells the compiler to perform a particular task. An expression is a mathematical entity that evaluates to a value. Expressions are often used inside of statements. Question 2. What is the difference between a function and a library? Answer. A function is a collection of statements that execute sequentially, typically designed to perform a specific job. A library is a collection of functions that is meant to be reused by many programs. The third question of this quiz would be, what symbols do statements in C++ end with? And the answer is the semicolon. This is the end of lesson 1.1. See you next time.